Serving as the Dean of St. Tikhon's Orthodox Theological Seminary has with it some of the most beautiful blessings that one could ever ask for, and comes with some of the most amazing challenges about which one might not even think. Let's start with the challenges so we can end with the blessings. The challenges are probably summarized just in the vast breadth of oversight that is necessary at a place such as St. Tikhon's, which serves as a place of spiritual formation, a place of theological education, a place of pilgrimage, a place of rest, and a place which is also old. We just celebrated 80 years. So we have the complexities of aging infrastructure. We have the complexities of how to work together and organize faculty, how to interact with the staff, how the staff and the faculty interact with one another, how to tie in visiting professors and guest speakers, how to raise funds for the seminary. That would be the biggest challenge in our day. Theological education all by itself is an expensive endeavor. Residential theological education, to which we absolutely are hands down committed, because to prepare for the incarnational ministry of the Orthodox Christian priesthood requires one to be in a place of incarnation. You have to be with your classmates. You have to be able to dig in the dirt together. You have to be able to read and write and study and pray together. So to raise funds sufficient for the housing and feeding and training of those students is a very, very steep hill to climb. Being in such a rural place has its challenges as well. Here at St. Tikhon's, coming with the rural nature and in its mountainous place, I come from Charleston, South Carolina, where it snows once every 10 years. And in that once every 10 year snow, it snows about 3 inches. And though that paralyzes us in Charleston, South Carolina for 2 or 3 days, our first snowstorm here was 1 foot. And that was in November. There was snow on the ground until, I think, at least Holy Week. So the weather is a challenge. One doesn't necessarily think of that as a challenge for the dean of a seminary, but when you come from Charleston, South Carolina, that's a challenge. And how to deal with all that in an infrastructure fashion. We have a whole team of volunteers. We have an amazing man, for example, whose name is John. He's in his 80s. And he plows all the snow around here at 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. It's totally amazing. But to trust God enough that all the cogs will connect, that all the pieces will be put together, those are great challenges that I face as the Dean of St. Tikhon's Seminary. Would those be unique to St. Tikhon's? I don't know. I was never the dean anyplace else. But I can say that the challenges that I have faced in this, I've just begun my 2nd year as dean, so I've just finished my first full year here. In fact, today is September the 12th. We didn't even move in until 2 weeks from now last year. So I have not lived here yet for 1 full calendar year, but I can say that the challenges that I face here give me the utmost of respect and appreciation for my friend Father Chad Hatfield, for my friend Father Stephen Wojtowicz, in whose shoes I now stand, and for all those who have served as deans here and elsewhere. The blessings that are associated with being the dean are more numerous than the challenges, but they are also more difficult to articulate. How would one articulate the change that one sees, proverbially speaking, in the heart of a young man who comes and is transformed in his time as a student from someone who is all in the world and his vocation in the world, who leaves everything behind and comes here. Quite honestly, I've seen fear in the eyes of seminarians in the same kind of a way when a young couple has a first child, and maybe mom, that is the new grandmother, comes and stays with mom and dad and new baby. Grandma comes and stays for a week, and then after she goes away, there's this state of panic, like, whoa, what have I done? Here I am, how do I care for this new creature? There's a very similar experience, I think, for every student who comes to seminary. So to see the joy that is brought with and the zeal that comes with every new student, that's matched with some degree of fear and bewilderment, converted into self-confidence, grounding in the scriptures, having been permeated with the teachings of the fathers, having been soaked in prayer. I don't know how to quantify that, but that's a blessing I have seen, having witnessed only 1 year of classes so far, having seen the third year students in their last year who graduated, and now having seen the new students who come in. What a great and incredible blessing that is. Another incredible blessing of being here, I mentioned sort of in the answer to my first question, and that is the relationship to the monastery. For me, it is a personal and high-ranking blessing of my whole life that I would be able to have what I consider to be a treasured friendship with the abbot, Father Sergius, who, by his years of stability as a young monk in this monastery, working his way through his obediences over the years, being assigned as abbot, having served also as interim dean of St. Tikhon's during one difficult time frame just a little while ago. He exists for me as a personal grace, a personal grounding, a personal keel in the winds of seminary life to keep the boat from tipping over from time to time. That's a great blessing for me personally. Another great blessing, the great blessing I would say, which is what allows me to be here. I must mention my wife, though she'll probably say, "Why did you do that?" It is also by the power of her prayer and by the gift of her encouragement that I am able to serve in the ways that I'm asked to serve here. Those are the local blessings. Some of the local blessings. There are many more. One further local blessing. Recently, through the generosity of one donor, the so-called Blue House was purchased from the Diocese of Eastern Pennsylvania by the seminary. The Blue House was the home built by His Beatitude Metropolitan Tikhon, was the residence of the Bishop of Eastern Pennsylvania, and from when that house was built, I think in the 1980s until just this last year, and also served as the diocesan headquarters. The purchase of that house in which we now live is a remarkable blessing to us. Number one, it's a practical one. I can walk 200 yards to school, I can walk 200 yards to church every single day, multiple times a day. So that proximity is very important to me as a dean. I have a blessing that many others have not had, which is to be absolutely in residence at the seminary here at St. Tikhon's. But it also allows us the space as a couple, my wife and I, to host students for dinner, to host the board for dinner, to host the OCMC for dinner, to host visiting dignitaries for conversations or supper. A place of community, a place where we can enjoy a meal together. That's a huge and great blessing, and quite honestly, it's in those conversations and it's in those meals, that sharing of that fellowship, which really serves as the cement for the other work that's done here in the building blocks of the seminary formation. So that's a great blessing for me. Those are the interior blessings. There are many exterior ones too, because some of my work as dean is located here at the seminary. Also, a great amount of my work is done off campus. That means visiting parishes, whether it's driving to a local church. For example, this coming week on Sunday, my wife and I will travel on behalf of the seminary to Holy Trinity in Wilkes-Barre, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary with a great amount of fanfare and the visit of the Metropolitan. or whether it's to go, as I did this past weekend, down to South Carolina, where I gave a retreat in the afternoon at our beautiful Holy Resurrection Mission in North Augusta, South Carolina, or preaching and serving with Father Thomas Moore at Holy Apostles in Columbia, South Carolina, or with the deanery clergy of North and South Carolina at the Carolinas Deanery, where we went to Charlotte, North Carolina for 2.5 days of a retreat together. Those sorts of things are great blessings to me as I go to share all the good that God is doing for us at St. Tikhon's with them, but also get re-energized by the beautiful and amazing parish life which is going on in all corners of our land. Those are extremely wonderful blessings. Those exist for me outside of the seminary. So internal and external blessings. I would be terribly remiss if I didn't return to name a few more internal blessings, and that would be working with the faculty and the staff here at St. Tikhon's who love one another, who try to serve the Lord with one another, who are doing everything they can each day to make St. Tikhon's better than yesterday. Today better than yesterday. If we keep that as our aim in service to the Lord, then we're always offering our first and finest. And so those are some of the great blessings that I personally appreciate and experience here at St. Tikhon Seminary.
Did years burn out those words? Did a voice whisper absurd? Did your mind comprehend and ask if you'd last till the end?